So these men and women are pioneers in their own right, and they're just as important as all other NASA legends that you study in your history books. You know, Alan Shepard, John Glenn, Neil Armstrong, and all the others. These women and men helped pave the way for me, and now we must pave the way for these students. Now, it was Frederick Douglass who said, building strong children is a lot easier than repairing broken adults. We must do this because when I go about my everyday duties, I am appalled by the lack of minorities in leadership positions at the decision-making tables. But while we have made some progress, we remain severely underrepresented. And for this country to continue as a superpower, it has to have contributions from everybody. It has to have contributions from us, because today, if you look at what's going on around this country and around this world, we find ourselves in an economic war, and we need all hands on deck. Besides, I'm tired of being obvious, and I'm not where I'm supposed to be, because I'm the only one that looks like me. That's why every effort to encourage and advise minority students in their pursuit of science and engineering careers must succeed. That's why every effort to increase the number of minority graduate students studying science and engineering must succeed. That's why the strategy to encourage minorities to seek advanced degrees in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics must succeed. Because we cannot afford any more years when the 2 blacks earn doctorate degrees in aeronautical and astronautical engineering. We cannot afford any more years when only 8 blacks earn doctorate degrees in mechanical engineering. We cannot afford any more years where only 85 blacks earn doctorate degrees in all of disciplines of engineering. So I say to you, we must make every effort to get into this game of high technology, as uncomfortable as it may seem. Each of us, each of you, has the ability to excel in life. And all we need to do is to couple that ability with desire. And nobody says it's easy. One of the things that I do is I interview prospective students for MIT. And I get all the PSAT scores and SAT scores, and I call the students and say, just please come out and listen. And I called one home one night, and my mother answered the phone. And I told her I was calling, and she says, well, I heard that school was hard. And I said, well, yeah, it is. She said, well, I don't want my son to work too hard when he goes to college. So I said, well, MIT is not the place for him. Okay, so I don't know where that student is today. So MIT was not the place for him, because his mother didn't want him to work too hard. We have to understand that we cannot achieve extraordinary things with ordinary efforts. That mother didn't want her son to be uncomfortable. But to achieve greatness, we must get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Greatness requires you to move outside the comfort zone. When you think of people who have done great things, all had to do something that was outside their comfort zone. When you think back in history, when Rosa Parks refused to go to her seat on that bus in Montgomery, Alabama. But what she did was uncomfortable. But what she did changed history. And Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders led protest marches, faced down with guns and dogs and fire hoses and hatred, and were arrested in jail. They all did something that made them uncomfortable. But what they did changed the world forever. And when Nelson Mandela sat in that jail cell for 27 years, what he did certainly was uncomfortable. But what he did ended the evil of apartheid in South Africa. So yes, we're going to have to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because the rest of the world wants what you have. And they're preparing themselves to take it. But right now, our standard of living is at stake. Because people don't want their children to work hard. Right now, our preference in the world is at stake. And we had better be concerned about the small number of engineers that's graduating. Approximately 72,000 per year in this country, compared to over 250,000 a year in India, and over 600,000 in China. So those numbers tell us that we don't develop all of our minds, and that includes you. We will become division-free, and we will be behind the rest of the world 12 and 11 after the first day. So our job is to decide if we're going to invent and lead the future, or we will just let it happen around us. If each of us wants to make a difference, we must commit to ride that road of excellence every day. For that road rarely has a traffic jam. There's no scarcity of opportunity to do great things here. Only a scarcity of resolve to make them happen. So when I get a chance to talk to young people, they always want to know, well, how did I get to be me? And I tell them, there are 435 members of the House of Representatives. 100 senators, only 9 NASA Senate directors. But I'm nobody special. I'm no different than any of you sitting here waiting to graduate. But I learned long ago that I could never be content with anybody's definition. When I was a senior in high school, I had a recruiter from MIT come want to talk to me. And I had a counselor that told me, our students don't go out of state to school. So I had to have a secret meeting with the counselor before I could even consider going to MIT. And I ended up going. And I'll tell you this, while others may not have had high expectations of me, I certainly had high expectations for myself. And you let someone else define you as being like everyone else, the best that you will be is average, middle of the pack. And nobody starts climbing a mountain and saying, hey, let's see if we can make it to the middle. So why would you be content with being average? So I learned to always demand the best for myself. I learned that I can't give anything I do only hard work. I have to give everything I do my best work. I learned that you must fully commit to your goals because you're sure the achievement of your goals the minute you commit yourselves to them. And all it takes is vision, confidence, endurance, and inspiration. See, vision is but seeing opportunity inside the challenge. Without confidence, nothing is possible, but with it, nothing is impossible. For those who dare to dream, there's no such word as impossible. With endurance, the glory is not and never failing, but in rising every time you do fail. And inspiration is that light that transforms rain into rain. And in this game of life, if you want to see the rainbow, you have to put up a little rain every now and then. See, I had my own special inspiration. Second Thursday, June 1958, my mother's brother became the first person in my family to graduate from high school. And on that day, she declared that all 4 of her children would finish high school. And she was 75% right. I had one sister that didn't make it. And that dated my mother like something you never would believe. And she finally told her, she didn't tell her to go down to the school and register for night school. She took her down there. She didn't just take it down. She took her and took her to register. And she'd go to work every day, come home and cook. And she'd take her to school. And she would go in with her and sit in the classroom because she knew if she dropped off, she wasn't on the stage. Then she took the notes and did the work so that when she came home, she could help with the homework. And then the teacher said, well, why don't you sign up too? So she did. So 2 weeks after I got my bachelor's degree, my mother and my sister graduated from high school together. She got hired some head, but that was my inspiration because I didn't want my mother showing up at MIT. She was always been around the class. You know, friends say, well, why is your mom always around? Why don't she go home? In fact, right now she might be director of the Aerospace. Maybe something wrong on the streets or something. But you see, too many have given too much for us not to fight the good fight. Too many have given too much for us not to give it our best.